Upon watching Dragon Ball Z, it is clear on the surface that the strongest android, or bio-android, was Cell, as the other androids were nothing more than power boosters to him. Though upon watching Dragon Ball GT, that once clear assumption gets called into question, as it is explicitly stated that Cell in fact wasn't the strongest, Android 17 was. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with this. But before I poke fun at Cell for not being the strongest android and have him absorb me like some kind of sun ray, I'd like to say hello guys and gals, I'm Nick, and welcome to Furthy's Feedback. So, in Dragon Ball Z, following the events of the Frieza saga, the Z Fighters are introduced to an all-new world-ending threat, the androids. Fans and the Z Fighters alike first heard of this threat from future Trunks, who literally ripped apart the time stream in order to right the wrongs brought about by the androids. In Trunks' alternate future, Android 17 and 18 effectively brought about Armageddon just because they could. So in Trunks' eyes, those two androids were the pinnacle of evil in the world. And then Dragon Ball Z introduced Cell, who travelled from the future just like Trunks, but his reasons were much more sinister. For Cell to reach his perfect form, he needed to absorb both Android 17 and 18, but in his timeline, they had already been defeated. So, he travelled to the past, absorbed both the androids that eluded him, and became the most powerful villain to date. At least, that's what everyone thought. In Dragon Ball GT Episode 42, a portal to Hell mysteriously opened up in the sky, and hordes of long-dead villains flew through it and brought with them only chaos and mayhem. Meanwhile, in Hell, the villainous Dr. Gero and Dr. Miyu have teamed up to create Dragon Ball's ultimate android, and as it turns out, that's Android 17. As explained by the mad scientists, 17 was created with a latent potential that, once realized, would make him more powerful than even perfect Cell. So, the two created an exact copy of Android 17 in Hell with a few upgrades, courtesy of Dr. Miyu's expertise with machine mutants. With the gates of Hell wide open, the villain's plan is to fuse this 17 with the original 17 to create the version of the android that should have been realized long ago, Super 17. Back in Dragon Ball Z, when Android 17 and 18 were first awakened by their creator, Dr. Gero, 17 killed Gero without a moment's hesitation. 17 did this to assert his dominance over the scientist and prove to Gero that he wouldn't be his puppet. Little did 17 know, he was only hurting himself with that abrupt act of murderous violence. If 17 allowed Dr. Gero to be his guide and surrender some of that control to his creator, then Dr. Gero would have unlocked 17's true potential, if only to kill Goku. Not only that, but 17 would have been able to save himself and his sister from Cell, as Super 17 could have easily killed the villain when he was in his bug-like imperfect form. While Super 17 in Dragon Ball GT is more powerful than 17 could have ever been in Dragon Ball Z, due to the fact that he needed to fuse with a machine mutant version of himself to achieve that transformation, Android 17 still would have been powerful enough to kill Cell in Dragon Ball Z if he had just let Dr. Gero unlock his true potential for him, and Dragon Ball GT proves it.
You're the most powerful being in the universe! Nothing can stop you! Now hurry up and blow them away!